So I know I've never really updated anything or never posted anything really on the blue all-wheel drive uh, B Series wagon, the turbo wagon. Uh, but I just got a new motor in it. Got break-in miles, more than break-in miles. Obviously, probably been beating on it more than I should without being tuned. Fairly close, whatever. But right now I have a dump pipe straight to the floor. Uh, but it's restricting me for wastegate angle. So I'm thinking about switching it up to a hood exit since I gotta take the cams off too because I have a ITR intake, GSR exhaust. Long story. But now I got an exhaust one, so I gotta do that anyways. It's gonna take it apart. I also gotta take the manifold off again because it did crack once. It got it welded, cracked again. So I'm gonna try to re-weld it again before it goes to the dyno or street tune, most likely. For now, but like I said, so manifold has to come off. But for now, I'm playing around with the idea of going hood exit. Pretty tight fit on EFs, so gonna just try to build something, see if it works. I could always just heat wrap it, see how that goes. But I'll show you guys here what I got going on now and what the plan is, see if it works. Then that'll give me enough space to hopefully give a little better angle since I'm going to have the manifold off anyways. Weld the wastegate exit at an angle so it's easier for it to escape the gases when it needs to. And when I do that, when I do the dump tube, I'll actually collect it right into the actual hood exit. That way it's just one 3-inch exit rather than having to have the 3-inch downpipe and then just the dump tube separate. We'll see how that goes. Not really sure exactly yet. But like I said, I'll show you guys and then see. You guys can see kind of what I'm talking about because I know it probably doesn't make sense if I'm just explaining it. So, like I said, this is the one that I'm talking about. I know it's been on the background pretty much the whole time. I did have a different motor in it, which is sitting over there. Nothing was really wrong with it. I just, when I put it together, I put it together really loose so it would slap pistons, which is fine for boost. But I also had this motor that I was putting together, so I figured I'd pull the other one, put this one in. Why I did that, I upgraded the turbo. I went with a 6266. I'm not even sure if it's a Gen 2 or not. I honestly haven't paid attention to it. So I got that going. I had to redo the downpipe, but this downpipe literally just goes straight down, cuts off at the floor, so it actually makes it really loud because it echoes. And same thing with the wastegate. If you guys can see, it's really close to the radiator here, as well as my intercooler right up there. Plan is to hack that actual flange off, and once I take this off, I'll have a little more space to angle it up and then just put the dump tube straight to that. But so you guys can see, EFs are really tight. I really don't want to put my radiator sideways like most people do. I already have my hood notched and stuff to fit this radiator where it sits right there. But I believe I can fit my 3-inch right through here, under this, right between or under the upper radiator hose, and exit it right here, right by the blow-off valve. Worst case, I might build a slight, like a 45 angle just to move the blow-off valve this way a little bit, and that way it doesn't get too hot there. But I mean, it shouldn't, especially if I wrap it. So that's what I got going on. Hopefully I get all this figured out. Then, like I said, I still got to do the exhaust cam, retime it. I don't degree. I just center it out with zero it out with the cam gears. That way it's all zeroed out. And we'll see then. Hopefully get it ready for street tune. Eventually we'll get dyno tune, but I just want to get street tune for now, that way I could actually drive it, see what it does, and we'll see, I guess. But I'm gonna get at this and then show you guys how it turns out, I guess. So far, here's what I got. I'm not really sure, honestly. Ideally, I want it to come out like right here, but obviously I have my vent tubes. I wish I could get a different valve cover and put them on the backside, but I don't know. I'm just not sure about it being so close here to the fan. I'm not sure if it'll help it, if it's gonna make it worse, if it's gonna keep too much heat in the engine bay. I'm not really sure, honestly. Other than that, I mean, this here is an aluminum piece just for now because I'm out of 45s. But obviously it would just go up straight out, flush with the hood. This hose normally goes right here. You guys can see here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to run it next to this one there. And just run a 45 right here. And that'll leave me the space. I could even space this out a little more further out, but I think there would be fine. But like I said, I'm just not sure of all that extra heat in the engine bay, even though it would be double heat wrapped. So I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's just something to try out. I could always weld it together, put it on, and try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, great. But like I said, if you guys can see down here, now that you guys can see, it gives me all this space right here, so I could angle the wastegate this way down, and it gives me like a 45 into the manifold for better gas exit. Then I would just made it right here. Obviously I would flip it, point it up, and made it right to that with a small flex pipe. I don't know. I mean, I don't mind it. It's just like I said, heat is a big thing on this car just because the engine bay is so small. If this was like EG or EK, I'd probably have like 3 or 4 inches in between the radiator because the engine bays are so much bigger. But being that it's a wagon, it's so short, and I don't have that commodity. So I don't know. I guess I'm gonna try to find another 45 for here, extend it out all the way, and then weld the bung and all that, tack it all together and give it a try. I mean, worst case, doesn't work and I just have a piece of scrap metal laying around, so we'll see. So last time I ended up on the video where I was kind of mocking up how it was gonna fit. I actually already driven it like this. Doesn't seem to be an issue with heat. I did get a little hot right there and it melted into the fan, but I didn't have enough wrap for it. This is all scrap left over from the other downpipe. But once I wrap it all, it shouldn't be an issue, and it lands right about there. So it's just far enough from the blow-off valve. This thing didn't get hot enough to melt it much. It did get a little hot, but like I said, once it's all fully wrapped, it won't really matter. So I just put this on there for you guys to see. I will be pulling the turbo now, blow-off valve, manifold. Wastegate is getting flipped over and teed right into here. So I mean, originally plan was to, obviously there's more space here, angle the wastegate at a 45 to get obviously less boost creep and stuff. I'm gonna try to get away without doing it right now. So I'm literally just gonna flip it. The dump tube is gonna come up, Gonna add a small flex, 90, and it's gonna go right into here. So basically it's all on the same tube. That way I don't have to worry about flames down at the bottom. And it'll just all be out the hood, and obviously it'll give me some nice fireballs out there. But reason I'm pulling the manifold is because it cracked again. I had it welded before. Figured it was gonna crack again, but hopefully I'm gonna actually try to cut it almost all the way off, then weld it. Hopefully that holds a little better. And I'm also gonna add a bracket like the stock manifolds do, from like the bottom where it hangs lower to the actual block to keep it from flexing and vibrating. That should definitely help it a lot. So also we'll be adding a mount somewhere back here for the up pipe, just so it doesn't vibrate and crack more stuff like it's been doing. And last but not least, I gotta do ITR exhaust cam, because right now I'm on ITR intake and GSR exhaust, which works fine. But I found exhaust one, ITR, so might as well just throw it on there. And then it should be ready for a tune for my buddy sometime next week, I'm hoping. If the weather holds up, 'cause it seems like it's about to start with that rainy fall weather. Hopefully not. Or at least hopefully we could pick a day that's dry out. So, but time to get to tearing it down and hope for the best. So I'm back to working on this. Before I remove the manifold to fix those cracks, obviously you can see it there, right here, same over here. Before I do that, like I mentioned, I'm adding a support to that original bolt down there that all OEM headers go to. So I have this little thing here. Obviously it'll bolt there. I'll show you guys here what the plan is. So there's that bolt hole there. Obviously I still have to trim my little piece that I cut. But plan is obviously it's gonna go there, and I can't put it on where it needs to go, but it's gonna go pushing to those, and therefore it'll help it support it, and it'll help with vibrations and stuff, keep some of the weight off just the manifold flange. So hopefully this works. Obviously I have to make it shorter because it doesn't fit. This is just obviously piece I cut to see where I needed to cut and stuff. But you guys can see what I'm getting at with this. Hopefully it helps with stress on that flange and all that weight. Obviously vibration and stuff. But we'll see how this turns out. So I got it in place. It's tacked on. Obviously when I take the manifold off, I'll fully weld around it. But you guys can see how it actually supports the weight, especially being a top mount. So it has all that weight, especially when you vibrate and hit bumps and stuff. So that should help it. I'm not saying it's going to completely eliminate it, but definitely should help it. Just funny thing, originally, like for stock motors, I hate that. I always take it off. But then again, it's just a header. This actual manifold weighs a lot more. Has all the turbo weight up front. Not to mention, now that I added the hood exit, I was going to have all that extra weight on this side as well. So, I mean, one extra bolt when you take it on and off. But then again, I'm not taking off the manifold all the time. So, oh well. But that's that. Up next, let it cool down fully. Then remove it. Then the wastegate tube is getting chopped off. Getting flat this way. That way, my wastegate, once the motor moves, I keep having issues with it hitting the intercooler there, and a little bit on the radiator there. Hasn't made holes through the intercooler, but still, I'm trying to get rid of it. Doing that when the motor flexes and stuff, especially once it hooks. So we'll see how that goes. That's up next. And then as well, once it's off, obviously prep this cracks and try to weld them up, hopefully for good one last time, but we'll see. So I got this cut off. I just had it mocked up, but I think there's no point just taking a clip, showing you guys. Figure I'd just show you guys once it's done, but no cut, no going back now. As you guys can see, it's flush with the flange, or at least close to, versus having a little close to a 45 on it this way, moving the wastegate. So now it'll be flat even. Gonna be the same placement on this. I'm gonna tack it in place now. Since the metal is hot, I'm stupid. Since the metal is cold, I normally heat it up with a torch and then tack it. That way it's not just completely cold and then I just go. I can weld on it. Gives a little better weld if you preheat it. At least that's what I've been told. And I mean, it seems to work for me. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm tack it, and then obviously prep the welds, the cracks there for welding, and weld everything all at once inside. That way I'm out of the air, and it gets a nice hot weld. So I mean, either this works or it doesn't, and I'm having to buy a manifold. But here's what happened. Obviously, I had already cracked before. When my buddy welded it, he just welded over the crack, so obviously it was going to crack again. So what I did, I actually went ahead and cut the crack all the way to the end. So when I weld it, that should stop the crack from continuing. So this one was the one that was really bad because it actually cracked all around and down. But I cut past the crack. So when I did that, it actually should stop the crack, like I said. But hopefully once I weld it back together, and with having this extra mount down here, it helps. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's pretty much ready to weld. I've got to wire wheel all this, take all the extra burrs in here, and I will be welding it on the outside and the inside to fill in that gap. I gotta clean all those burrs with a cart by burr real quick, and then I'll be ready to weld. So, as you guys can see, manifold's all done. Welds don't look the best. I had to change the heat on and off because of the gap. But it's welded on the outside and the inside. That should not crack anymore. I got that. This is what I was talking about. It's more straight with this versus how it was. It was more angled this way, pushing it towards the intercooler. So that's that. Should fit a lot better. Also, that bracket there should help it. So since that's all done, now it's basically just ready for light coat of paint, flame-proof paint. Just help it with corrosion and stuff. So instead, I'm gonna do quick layer, let it dry, then do another one, and it should be ready to go back on the car. So here's where I'm at. Obviously, manifolds back in. Pretty much everything's all down and bolted. Feed line, return line. You guys can see I had to notch it a little bit because it ended up being closer than what I wanted. Which either way, gives me more clearance up here, so that's nice. So now I'm just gonna, since I flipped this before, just dumped to the ground, flip this over. Next thing, had this leftover pipe, and it ended up just being perfect. You guys can see right there. It's gonna feed right back into the hood exit. I have to trim this just so it sticks in. I could center this perfectly down there, but even if I just weld it right there, it'd be perfect. I was gonna add a flex plate right here, but given that all this right here is solid, it's all basically one piece at this point. No point. I do have some flexibility here on the B-band, so I could move it around. Obviously, I'll have to bolt this on first, and then the B-band once it's done, since I don't have flexibility here. But it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, that's basically what it's going to look like. Hood exit. Once this is all welded, then I'll try to put the hood on and start trimming it. That way I have the hood exit. That way I can put my hood on, because I've been driving it without a hood actually. So, but I don't know. So far, so good. Hopefully it stays that way. That mount down there, that extra support worked great. When I welded it, it did move a little bit, so I had to add a washer behind it. But now it's solid, so hopefully it doesn't crack again. But just gotta tack this back in place, and then like I said, we'll see what's next when it comes to the hood. So right here, got basically what's the final product. Put some paint on it just to keep it from surface rusting on it, but you guys can see it comes off the wastegate right into the hood exit. Then I should be able to shoot some flames off it now once it opens up. But yeah, I'm gonna touch up the the exhaust housing with some black paint just to keep it color. I know it'll burn off right away, but at least it'll keep it from looking like it is now. Or try to put my turbo blanket, but it's kind of hard. There's barely any space back there to actually wrap it around it. But no, overall, that looks like it'll work great. It is a little close to that 90 on the wastegate. But I'm ordering wrap tomorrow. That way I can wrap it all up, especially here where it's closer to the fan right there. And then that should keep it from melting it, because even if it lays on it, it won't be hot enough through the wrap. But overall, man, it turned out really good. Now hopefully it doesn't crack the manifold anymore with all the stuff I did. Pretty much all that's left now is do the exhaust cam and face the cam gears. That way they're all zeroed out with the head being decked and then the block being decked. And then hopefully Wednesday get it ready for a street tune at least. So this is pretty much going to be the end of this video. I'll have its own video for when we go street tuning it. Should be fun. Hopefully it stays together, and we'll see what it does then. Obviously won't know numbers, but the butt dyno don't lie. So hope you guys like it though. I know I never post anything on this car at all, but like I said, it's ongoing project. Always doing something to it. Is just always behind, never on video, I should say. So but hopefully I start actually doing stuff to it, and I'll post more of that stuff. I am going to be switching out all the front suspension stuff to my older wagons. Better coilovers and all that stuff, so stay tuned.